Good evening. Time is now 7 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting of the Beloit City Council to order. Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call, please?
Vice President Keys.
Here.
Councilor Blakely. Councilor Duncan.
Here.
Councilor Forbeck.
Here.
Councilor Levy.
Here.
Councilor Presha.
Here.
Councilor Blakely.
Yes, I'm here.
President Anderson.
Here.
Pledge of Allegiance.
Councilors, please mute your phones and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Following the pledge, we'll have a moment of silence for former Beloit Fire Chief Brad Leggett, who passed away earlier this month.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Item 3 is special orders of the day or announcements. There are none. Item 4 is public hearings. Consideration of ordinance number 3737, amending the zoning district map from R-1B Single Family Residential District to Planned Unit Development District for part of 24-9 Maple Avenue, 1534 and 1540 Shore Drive, and 214 and 226 Beach Avenue. Plan Commission recommendation for approval was 5-0. This is the first reading.
At this time, I will be stepping out of the room because I am on the board of Meals on Wheels, so I'll be recusing at this time.
And Community Development Director Julie Christensen will provide an overview.
Beloit Meals on Wheels has submitted this application. Their request is related to the applicant's proposed purchase and redevelopment of the parcels listed into a new 2,521 square foot office, storage, and food delivery building and related improvements as shown on the site plan that's included in your packet. While 214 and 226 Beach Avenue are privately owned, the applicant is under contract to purchase 1534 and 1540 Shore Drive and part of 249 Maple Avenue from the city for this project. CSM to create a 1.1 acre parcel for this redevelopment and a 1 acre parcel to be retained by the city along Maple Avenue was approved by Plan Commission. All of these parcels are currently green space and are vacant. This zoning map amendment was reviewed by Plan Commission on December 21st, and they voted 5-0 to recommend approval of the zoning map amendment. This is going through the full PUD process, so there is a PUD master land use plan as well as a comprehensive plan amendment as part of this. This is on your agenda for public hearing and first reading tonight. And Joe from AYA and Ellen from Beloit Meals on Wheels are here if you have any questions.
Thank you, Julie. At this time, the public hearing is open. Would the clerk treasurer please provide any public input received?
There was none.
Would anyone else wishing to speak in favor or opposed please come forward? Second call. Final call. The public hearing is now closed. This is the first reading. May I please have a motion to lay over the ordinance?
Levy moves
I
laid
so
over.
move. This is Blakely.
First by Levy, second by Blakely. Are there any questions or discussions? Hearing none,
Counselor Blakely,
Aye.
Counselor Duncan,
Aye.
Counselor Forbeck,
Aye.
Counselor Levy,
Aye.
Counselor Preschel,
Aye.
Vice President Keys.
Aye.
Motion carries. Beth, do you?
Yep.
Consideration of ordinance number 3738, amending the City of Beloit Comprehensive Plan to change the future land use designation in the future land use map from single-family residential urban to planned mixed use for the properties located at 214 and 226 Beach Avenue and 1540 Shore Drive. Plan Commission recommendation for approval was 6-0. This is the first reading.
And Community Development Director Julie Christensen will provide an overview.
So this is the comprehensive plan amendment for that same project for Beloit Meals on Wheels. The application is to amend the future land use map, which is map 10 of the City of Beloit Comprehensive Plan. So they are proposing to change 214 and 226 Beach Avenue from single-family residential urban to planned mixed use, and then 1540 Shore Drive from single-family residential urban to planned mixed use. And this is related to that same project that I described during the last item. And Plan Commission reviewed this item on December 8th and voted 6-0 to recommend approval of the comprehensive plan amendments. As proposed, this is on your agenda for public hearing and first reading tonight. And then Council President Anderson is abstaining on this item as well, because they're all related to the same project.
Thank you, Julie. At this time, the public hearing is open. Would the clerk treasurer please provide any public input received?
There was none.
Would anyone else wishing to speak in favor or opposed please come forward? Second call. Final call. The public hearing is now closed. This is a first reading. May I please have a motion to lay over the ordinance?
So moved. Second by Levy.
First by Councilor Preschel, second by Councilor Levy. Are there any questions or discussion?
Yes, this is Nancy Forbeck, and I have a question. The two privately owned parcels on Beach, are they also being changed into the PUD, even though the Meals on Wheels will not be using their area?
The entire project site is a subject of the PUD. So the PUD will cover the entire project site, which includes the privately held lots and the lots they're purchasing from the city. Even though the building will not be located on part of those sites, they are having part of the area be available for special events.
Thank you. Okay. That's all, thanks.
Are there any other questions or discussion?
This is Counselor Duncan. I just wanted to make a comment and just say that I was happy to see in our package that the neighbors were notified.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or discussion? At this time, there is a motion and a second to lay over the ordinance. I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Vice President Keys,
Aye.
Counselor Blakely,
Aye.
Counselor Duncan,
Aye.
Counselor Forbeck,
Aye.
Counselor Levy,
Aye.
Counselor Preschel.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Item 4C is consideration of Resolution 2022 0605, authorizing a planned unit development master land use plan for the Beloit Meals on Wheels project on the property located at the northwest corner of Maple Avenue and Shore Drive. Plan Commission recommendation for approval was 5-0.
And Community Development Director Julie Christensen will provide an overview.
So this item is for the same project. This is the planned unit development master land use plan approval for the entire development site. The properties currently consist of vacant land. The city acquired most of the land in this area as part of the Maple Avenue redevelopment plan in 2002 to 2004. The street was realigned and improved at that time, and the remaining residential structures and commercial structures were removed for future redevelopment possibilities. This is, even though it's been marketed in the past, this was the first time that we really had any interest in this site. And the city council accepted the applicant's offer to purchase the city land for this project contingent upon approval of the PUD master land use plan, which is this item, the PUD zoning, which was earlier on your agenda, and the CSM that was already approved by Plan Commission. Plan Commission reviewed this item on December 21st and voted unanimously 5-0 to recommend approval of the master land use plan subject to the 7 conditions which are included in the resolution, which is in your packet, which are that this approval authorizes the construction of a 2,521 square foot Meals on Wheels building, off-street parking lot, temporary outdoor event space, and driveways as shown on the attached PUD plan. This approval authorizes the applicant to operate their nonprofit organization, but may not be transferred to future property owners for different use without an amendment to this PUD approval issued by City Council. A future addition to the building of up to 2,300 square feet is hereby authorized. This approval shall not become effective unless and until the certified survey map creating the parcel to be developed is recorded and the applicant purchases or closes on Lot 1 of the certified survey map. An access driveway on Shore Drive and access driveway on Beach Avenue are permitted with exact locations to be determined during site plan review. The minimum building setback shall be 15 feet from all lot lines for all buildings on site. The maximum building height shall be 2 stories. 2 detached accessory buildings may be constructed on site. The applicant is allowed to construct 1 freestanding ground-mounted sign of not more than 150 square feet plus an electronically variable message panel up to 75 square feet as a secondary component to a non-EVM sign panel. A freestanding electronic sign is prohibited. Up to 3 secondary on-premise wall signs are allowed. Prior to issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall obtain site plan and architectural approval, which shall include a detailed review of all site grading, utility, landscape, and lighting plans. And then the 7th condition is your standard condition about major changes have to come back through this public process with Plan Commission and City Council approval, and that staff may approve minor changes administratively. And Nancy, in relation to the question you had for the last item, there is a site plan in the packet which shows where the new building is, but then the additional land they're using, as you can see, for outdoor event space and possibly a tent. So that's how they're showing an area where people can drive through. And so we think this will be a nice addition to that area and a good building location for Beloit Meals on Wheels, and we're really excited to see this project moving forward. This is on your agenda for action tonight.
Yes.
Thank you, Julie. At this time, the public hearing is open. Would the clerk treasurer please provide any public input received?
There was none.
Would anyone else wishing to speak in favor or opposed please come forward? Second call. Final call. The public hearing is now closed. Can I please have a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution.
First by Duncan, second by Councilor Blakely. At this time, there's a motion and a second to approve the resolution. Are there any questions or discussion? Okay, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Vice President Keys,
Aye.
Counselor Blakely,
Aye.
Counselor Duncan,
Aye.
Counselor Forbeck,
Aye.
Counselor Levy,
Aye.
and Counselor Puschel.
Aye.
The motion carries 6-0. Okay, item 4D is consideration of Resolution 2022-006, authorizing a conditional use permit for an 80-foot biosolid silo at 555 Willowbrook Road and the location and architectural design of a new public building. Plan Commission recommendation for approval was 5-0.
Community Development Director Julie Christensen will present.
The Water Resources Department has filed this application for the conditional use for the 84-foot tall biosolid storage silo. And then there's also the approval of the location and architectural design of a new public building at the wastewater pollution control facility. Regulation changes in sludge hauling will increase, and to be proactive, Water Resources will dry biosolids on site. Sludge drying will create a Class A biosolid that can be used as fertilizer with fewer restrictions, and drying reduces the volume of disposal by about 80%. A new building is needed to house the drying equipment. Wisconsin Statute 62.235 requires the location and architectural design of new public buildings to be referred to Plan Commission before it is approved by City Council. Plan Commission did review this item in December. The proposed storage silo is 84 feet tall. This particular site is in the M2 zoning district, and the maximum height for structure in that zoning district is 75 feet. However, Section 7.3 of the zoning ordinance states that those maximum height restrictions may be exceeded if reviewed and approved in accordance with the conditional use permit review procedures. So we put those two items together in one resolution so you could look at it all together. Plan Commission reviewed this item on December 21st and voted 6-0 to recommend approval of the conditional use permit, subject to 2 ordinance requirements, which are included in the resolution, and 1 permit condition. And they also recommended approval of the location and architectural design of the new building. They did really take a hard look at it in terms of landscaping and everything, and were comfortable at the end with what was being proposed. The condition in the resolution is that this conditional use permit authorizes the construction of an 84-foot tall biosolid storage silo. And the ordinance requirements are: before constructing on site, the applicant shall obtain site plan approval, an architectural review certificate, and building permits as required by code. And then in accordance with Section 2-506 of the zoning ordinance, the applicant shall have 12 months from the date of conditional use permit issuance to commence use of the property, or the conditional use shall lapse and be of no further effect. And then included in your packet is a conditional use permit decision form outlining the conditions and any evidence that's involved in that. And this is on your agenda for a public hearing and action tonight.
Thank you. At this time, the public hearing is now open. Would anyone wishing to speak in favor or opposed, please come forward at this time. Second call. Third call. Madam Clerk, before we close, did we receive any written comment?
Was none.
Okay, thank you. Public hearing is now closed. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second. Regina?
Motion by Prushel, second by Duncan. Any discussion? If not, may I call the roll?
Vice President Keys,
Aye.
Counselor Blakely,
Aye.
Counselor Duncan,
Aye.
Counselor Forbeck,
Aye.
Counselor Levy,
Aye.
Counselor Prushel,
Aye.
President Anderson.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item 5 is public comments.
We We've reached the point of the agenda where members of the public may speak to the council about items that may come before us or will come before us in the future. Council may not act on any requests, but may refer you to a staff person if necessary. We ask that you refrain from any personal attacks and keep your comments at 3 minutes or less. We also ask that speakers submit a public speaking form before or submit a written email before the meeting. Madam Clerk, do we receive any written comment tonight?
We did. There was one from Sherry Gonzalez. I would like to see an ordinance started for loud music from cars. Music stopped upon entering a business or while not inside one's car, parked with no occupants, gas stations, grocery stores, restaurants, etc. That is it.
Thank you. Would anyone else who did not fill out a speaker form wish to speak tonight? Second call. Third call. Public comment is now closed.
Item 6 is the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda.
Would any council member like anything removed from the consent agenda?
President Anderson, could we remove 6C, please?
Yes, 6C has been removed from consent agenda. Would anyone else like anything else removed from the consent agenda? If not, the consent agenda consists of 6A, 6B, 6D through 6F. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by
I'll
Duncan.
second.
Duncan Keys.
Duncan Keys, okay. Motion by Duncan, second by Keys. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, can I call a roll?
Vice President Keys,
Aye.
Councilor Blakely,
Aye.
Councilor Duncan,
Aye.
Councilor Forbeck,
Aye.
Councilor Levy,
Aye.
Councilor Preschel,
Aye.
President Anderson.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item 7 is licenses. There are none.
6C.
Oh, 6C.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Item 6C is consideration of Resolution 2022-008, authorizing the submittal of a grant application for a safe drinking water loan program, private lead service line replacement program grant.
Do we have Bill Frisbee on the line, or? Yep. I'll have Bill Frisbee present from he's Director of Water Resources.
Good evening. Tonight, this is a permission to apply for a grant for private lead service replacement. This is through the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. And the grant, if we receive it from the city, will be administered between Water Resources and the Community Development Department through the Housing and Housing Services and Loan Service Program. We have developed the program, and all of the materials are pretty much ready to go. We just need to get the approval from DNR, and we'll move forward with the program. But so a customer who has a lead service would be able to apply to us, and when we grant them the funds, they would just have a contract to replace their lead service, and there would be no cost to the homeowner, and there is no cost share for the city. It is 100% funded by the Department of Natural Resources. Our grant application we're going to submit is for $600,000, which would cover approximately 100 lead services. At this point, we have identified 180 services we believe are lead with our 2020 Public Service Commission report, and that is the metric used with the grant application. We're still working on our private side inventory for service material, and we expect that number to go up pretty significantly in future years. And so we will continue with this program in the future. We are anticipating that number for private side could increase to 3,000 to 5,000 services in total. And on the utility side, we still have about 3,000 lead services that we will be replacing in the coming years. This particular grant is not eligible for our side. And so I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Before we have any questions or comments, can I have a motion to approve?
Counselor Keys, so move.
Motion by Keys, is there a second?
Second, Nancy Forbeck.
Second by Forbeck. Any discussion?
I asked to pull this. Thanks, Counselor Anderson, because I wanted to highlight the work and thank you for pursuing this grant. Because as it was shared, this will definitely help minimize the burden to the homeowner with the lead remediation process. And I appreciate that you've identified a number of homes for the 2020 application. And so my question is, do these homeowners know that they have those lateral lines, or will we be notifying them and then thus of the potential eligibility if we are awarded this grant of the opportunity they would have to apply?
Many of the property owners would not be already aware that they have a lead service. They may know that they have a galvanized service, which in many cases is also classified as lead. And we won't limit it to just the ones that we've already identified. If somebody contacts us and says, I'd like to know if my service qualifies for this program, they could still count. We just can't get more than the total number that we've identified on the Public Service Commission report from the previous year.
Okay. So if a resident is concerned and does not know, would they be able to verify by contacting you, or what would you recommend?
Yeah, they would be able to contact Water Resources, and we can check into it on our mapping to see if we've identified what their service material is already, and we can walk them through the process of identifying it if we have not already verified their material. And then to be eligible for the grant, it does have to result in a full service replacement. So if the utility side is still lead, then their service would not qualify until we are able to replace the utility side as well.
Okay.
But there are several thousand that have already had the utility side replaced over the years.
Okay. Thank you so much for that information. And then would there be will the city be notifying landlords as well? Or will there be a process to be able to help with that communication that this money could benefit both the landlords and then renters as well?
Yes, once we get our latest inventory updated with all the data that was collected over the past year, we will definitely be able to notify residents who are eligible, because these funds do have to be spent in the year of the grant. So if we receive these funds, they will all have to be spent in 2022. They can't roll over. So we'll want to make sure that we find enough residents to participate in the program to spend every dollar we can.
Okay. Yep. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for pursuing this grant.
Thank you, Vice
Hi,
President.
this is Counselor Duncan. I just have a quick question. And in the projects, when you send out the bids for the projects, I was happy to see that we had some people from the state that was selected, but just wanting to know, do we look at, and I know it depends on, I know there's a public notice that goes out, but do we ever use any local bidders? I mean, or get any local bids? That's my question.
So for this program, we won't be bidding the work ourselves. We'll just pre-qualify any contractor who, they'll submit qualifications. Any plumbing contractor who meets minimum qualifications of having a plumbing license and the ability to do the work would get pre-approved. Then the homeowners would just get a quote from somebody off the pre-approved list, and we would then reimburse them for the cost. And so we don't do the actual bid and manage the contract.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yep, so there will be a lot of opportunities for local plumbing contractors.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, I'd ask the clerk to call the roll.
Vice President Keys,
Aye.
Counselor Blakely,
Aye.
Counselor Duncan,
Aye.
Counselor Forbeck,
Aye.
Counselor Levy,
Aye.
Counselor Preschel,
Aye.
and President Anderson.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item 7 is licenses. There are none. Item 8 is ordinances. Consideration of ordinance number 3727 to amend the table in section 6.1-1 of chapter 19 of the Code of General Ordinances of the City of Beloit pertaining to zoning of medical facility uses in the C-1 and CBD-1 zoning districts. Plans Commission's recommendation for approval was 5-0. This is the second reading.
And before we move, I believe Counselor Duncan would like to say something.
I would like
Yes,
to abstain. This is Counselor Duncan. I would like to abstain at this time.
Okay, Counselor Duncan is abstaining. Is there anyone else? that-
And this is Vice President Keys, and I will be recusing myself.
Okay, and Vice President Keys will recuse as well. So we'll let them step away from their computers, and then we will have Community Development Director Julie Christensen here to answer any questions if need be. So before we do that, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Preschel, second by Levy. Any discussion? If not, I ask the clerk to call the roll.
Counselor Blakely,
Aye.
Counselor Duncan. Oh, excuse me. Counselor Forbeck,
Aye.
Counselor Levy,
Aye.
Counselor Preschel,
Aye.
President Anderson.
Aye.
That passes 5-0.
Wait until Vice President Keys and Counselor Duncan return.
Do we need to notify them, or are they going to join again?
I believe maybe a text would be good.
Manager Luther, could you grab Duncan, and then President Anderson, will you text Keys?
Yeah, I will.
Thank you. Counselor Duncan has rejoined. Counselor Duncan, can you please check your mic for us?
This is Counselor Duncan.
Thank you. Vice President Keys, can you please check your mic for us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 8B is consideration of ordinance number 3740, approving the annexation of 1022 Frobel Drive to the City of Beloit. Plan Commission recommendation for approval was 6-0. This is the second reading.
Community Development Director Julie Christensen will be here for any questions. But before that, can I have a motion to approve?
I so move. Nancy Forbeck.
I'll second that.
Motion by Forback, second by Duncan. Any discussion? If not, ask the clerk to call the roll.
Vice President Keys,
Aye.
Counselor Blakely,
Aye.
Counselor Duncan,
Aye.
Counselor Forback,
Aye.
Counselor Levy,
Aye.
Counselor Preschel,
Aye.
President Anderson.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Item number 9 is appointments. There are none. Item number 10 is counselor activities and upcoming events.
Start with Vice President Keys tonight.
Thank you, President Anderson. First, I want to extend my heartfelt condolences to the family and friends of Beloit's retired Fire Chief, Brad Leggett. We honor his legacy of service and acknowledge the grief many within our fire department, Freeport's fire department, and our community are experiencing. May his memory and legacy continue to be a blessing. Second, both of my committee meetings were not held this month, so I do not have a direct report from them. However, the Parks and Rec Department is preparing for Winterfest this weekend. There is a fun lineup and a variety of COVID-safe winter activities, including a kids' paint and cocoa, dog sled demonstration at Leeson Park, ice skating at Edwards Ice Arena, a fat tire biking along one of our Turtle Creek trails, sleigh rides, and winter hikes at Big Hill. It looks like we'll have winter temperatures. I'm just hopeful we might get some more snow. Details can be found on Facebook and the city website. Then under the conservation portion of Parks and Rec falls sustainability, and it's been discussed that we will be hosting a council commission public sustainability educational workshop. And I just wanted to share that that is in the works, and it appears that it will be in March. These efforts stem from the carbon neutrality proclamation that was read March 15th in 2021, declaring the city's intent to be carbon neutral by 2040 in the face of the current global climate crisis. And in July, the city council and staff worked together, and we adopted a sustainability framework to be applied to all city business. And that's referring to maintaining the progress and health of social, environmental, and economic aspects of the city, or people, profit, and planet. And I just want to note that it was shared on the city website, and I believe in the Beloit Daily News, that the city saw some terrific economic growth in 2021. And so just to celebrate that the economic side of the sustainability stool is strong, even in that face of COVID. And I look forward to this workshop and moving forward, continuing to work on the people and the planet. My next comment is that the youngest in our community continue to need our help and our support. There was an ask by teachers at Hackett Elementary that there is a need of tennis shoes, snow boots, and snow pants. And I want to thank the teachers who reached out on social media, as well as fellow community members, and counselors who donated to help one more child be properly dressed for the winter so they can play outside at recess. And so for those interested in supporting, please donate snow pants size 5 to 14 and snow boots 11 to 6 to Hackett School, and this will let the kids go out and play at recess. And thank you to all who donated, and our children very much appreciate it, and knowing that their community is here for them. And finally, regarding the youth homelessness in Beloit, I have asked the council be officially briefed on this issue, and it would be great to have an opportunity to discuss this. From the professionals who provide these services to those struggling to maintain stable housing, COVID has absolutely worsened this need. And at present, the school district of Beloit has identified 407 children experiencing homelessness, and 53 of these are unaccompanied teens. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Vice President Keys. Councilor Blakely.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I wanted to say, in the honor of Dr. Martin Luther King, whose life and legacy we celebrated this week, I wanted to share this quote from him. "Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." And close to home this weekend, friends at Beloit Public Library are holding a warehouse book sale in the community room at the library. It starts tomorrow and runs from 2 to 8 p.m. Friday, it's 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And Saturday, it's also 10 to 4. These are gently used books. There's a great selection for kids and adults. And on Saturday, there's a special sale. You can get a full bag of books for only $1 for the single bag. So there you go. Get yourselves over to the library when you need a little break from the outdoor weather. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Blakely. Councilor Duncan?
Thank you, President. I also want to give my deepest heartfelt condolences to the wife and family of our former Fire Chief, Brad Leggett. Brad helped others and was a genuinely kind and caring person. He will truly be missed, but never forgotten. I also want to thank Chief Pease, our city staff, Vets Roll, Mark Finnegan, and the many volunteers who helped in Brad's funeral ceremony and processional, putting out 900 American flags. What a great tribute for Brad's service to our community. I also want to mention that the city of Beloit recognized Martin Luther King Jr. Day yesterday as an official city holiday. It's important that we expand our own hearts and minds when it comes to equality and justice. So let's all continue to work together to build an even brighter future. This ends my councilor report for this evening.
Thank you, Councilor Duncan. Councilor Forbeck?
No report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Levy?
Thank you. I would like to also echo everyone's sentiments as it relates to Brad Leggett and his family. I had an opportunity to work with Brad a long time while I've been on council. Found him to be a genuine person, caring person, and he's done a lot for the city. He will be greatly missed. Thanks to everyone that was involved. Heartfelt also goes out to the Freeport Fire Department and Beloit Fire Department and the entire city staff and community that knew him so well. But also, as Councilor Blakely stated, we were celebrating Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. And I often say about this time that we need to carry that message throughout the entire year. A lot of times we spend the entire holiday that Monday celebrating Martin Luther King and talk about his speeches. And then on Tuesday, sometimes it's back to business as usual. But I would encourage everyone to continue to do what we can to stomp out hate, racism, all of that. If we see it happening, shut it down. I think I was watching a show yesterday that said the one way to end it is if you're around people that's exhibiting that type of behavior, shut it down immediately. Tell them you don't want any parts of it, and then we can see it dwindling away. But I think we have made some great strides in this country, and I think we have ways to go. But I think we have to keep working on it, and I can honestly say I'm proud of the city of Beloit, the staff, the citizens of Beloit, who always step forward to saying, what can we do to make Beloit a better place, not for just one group, but for all groups. And I really count that as a privilege and a blessing because a lot of cities don't have that. So I want to continue us to do that, but spread love and not hate throughout the entire year, and not just on Martin Luther King's birthday. And then also I need to give a shout out to, we often shout out to city staff for the great job that they do, but I also want to shout out to City Attorney Beth Krieger, and then also Ray from IT for this Saturday. I had a new phone. I was having trouble getting my computer, getting my messages on the computer, and I reached out to those two, and was able to get it all fixed. And some people may say, well, that's not a big thing, but this was on the Saturday that they took time and helped me out get everything set up so I can continue the process in meetings and stuff like we do. So I don't want them to think that their efforts and their support went unnoticed for this weekend's work. So once again, thank them, and that ends my report.
Thank you, Councilor Levy. Councilor Preschel?
Well, that's interesting that Kevin would mention that little help he needed some with the IT. I'll just start with that since Kevin just mentioned it. The first What the Tech in nearly 2 years will be Thursday at 1 o'clock at Grinnell Senior Center. I don't think it's been canceled due to COVID. So this is our first one, and it's it's been very popular in the past. We'll see. It's going to be like 6 degrees when we have it, so there may not be too many people to show up. I wasn't going to lead with that. I was going to talk about Brad, but Kevin brought it up. And Kevin, you're invited. You can come. You're old enough now. I was going to say something about Brad because it was I went through my archives looking for pictures and stuff to share, and I try to do that whenever somebody I know passes away. And I had a real struggle with this one. I still can't believe he's gone, and I could not stop hearing his laugh and so many times. The guy's smile was well known, and he shared it freely. And I'm going to really miss Brad, so I wanted to bring that up. On Saturday, I attended the Sky Carp Fest down at ABC Supply Stadium, mostly out of curiosity as to how they were doing the ice skating. On my way to enter the building, there's a bald eagle soaring along the Rock River right beside the stadium. It was an interesting event. I got to see some of the new Beloit Sky Carp stuff, and I spoke briefly with Quinn Studer, the owner, and it was a very interesting event. There's so much potential in that building and that site. I still can't believe that it actually got built, and that we have minor league baseball still. So there was that, and that'll be all for me tonight.
Thank you, Councilor Preschel. And now to my report. Just wanted to extend my condolences to the family of Brad Leggett. I had the privilege of knowing him from being a little kid all the way to being on the council and working with him. And, I know as a little kid, it was kind of cool to say you knew the fire chief. People in public safety seem larger than life when you're a little kid. So it was really cool to have him in the community. He was very active. And, his passing was incredibly sudden for all of us. And I think his passing is just a reminder to reach out to your loved ones. You don't know when you're going to see them last, when you're going to talk to them last, and you don't want to take that for granted. So reach out to your loved ones. I think this is an important message, and like I said, thinking of Brad and his family right now, it's definitely not an easy thing, and I know the community's hurting right now because of his passing. So that ends my report, and I believe City Manager Luther would like to say something as well.
Thank you. Members of the council, staff, and public at large. My family has had a direct COVID exposure, which requires my quarantine, and as such, I was unable to attend in person our former Chief Leggett services. I wanted to take this brief opportunity to publicly honor Brad's memory and to share our staff's mourning of his passing. Chief Leggett passionately cared about other people, and his life impacted all of us. We grieve with his family and offer them prayers of comfort. But everyone should know that Chief Brad Leggett's legacy of service and caring for others will live on. That concludes my report.
Thank you, City Manager Luther. Next item on the agenda, please.
Reports from boards and city officers. The City Council may adjourn into closed session pursuant to Section 19.85, Sub 1, Sub E, Wisconsin statute to deliberate or negotiate the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, namely to discuss the following: the possible sale of a portion of the right-of-way adjacent to 540 Colby Street proposed to be vacated. The council may reconvene into open session.
I have a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Motion by Duncan,
Second, Nancy.
Blakely seconds.
second by Forbeck on that. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're now in closed session.
Okay, we should be good.
Okay, we're back in open session. Next item on the agenda.
Adjournment's on the agenda.
We need to take a vote on Resolution 2022-14, consideration of a mediation settlement agreement between the town of Turtle and the city of Beloit. City Manager Luther has a presentation.
Thank you. On March 11th of 2020, the town of Turtle filed a civil lawsuit against the city of Beloit. On December 13th of 2021, both the city and the town entered into mediation to attempt to resolve this lawsuit. And I'm pleased to report that the parties have reached an agreement to resolve it. Both of the parties stipulate to a stay of the current lawsuit until July 30th of 2022 or sooner if both parties agree. And regardless of the outcome of any future boundary discussion, the town of Turtle agrees that the court cannot order and the town of Turtle will not seek an order imposing a 5-year extension of the current cooperative boundary plan. With that said, the city of Beloit reserves any and all rights regarding its position, and we have already fulfilled any obligation to the negotiation process claimed by the town, or that the town breached its own obligations to negotiate in good faith. So, the city of Beloit would agree in concurrence with the town of Turtle to negotiate in good faith, with the understanding that this process does not entitle either party to any particular predetermined result. That said, pursuant to the authority granted by both the city and the town, under Wisconsin Statute 63.0301 sub 2, the parties will seek an order from the court maintaining the status quo relative to the existing boundary agreement, pending the stay of litigation, and to be consistent with state law. We have a mediation agreement that both the town of Turtle and the city of Beloit will approve upon city council approval and future town of Turtle approval. The document before you gives me as city manager the authority to execute that mediation agreement and to take other action to effectuate the purpose of the resolution before you. I would state that it is a very positive position for both the city of Beloit and the town of Turtle to reach agreement and compromise through this mediation. And we are optimistic about our ability to reach a boundary agreement that positions both communities in a more favorable space for future growth down the road. If this proposed resolution is approved this evening, we would anticipate that a second resolution would come forward at a soon-to-be scheduled special city council meeting that would officially initiate joint negotiation of a cooperative boundary agreement. With that said, I will stand to respond to any questions.
Thank you, City Manager Luther. Before we do that, can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Preschel. Is there a second?
Nancy.
Second by Forbeck. Any discussion? If not, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Vice President Keys,
Aye.
Counselor Blakely,
Aye.
Counselor Duncan,
Aye.
Counselor Forbeck,
Aye.
Counselor Levy,
Aye.
Counselor Preschel,
Aye.
and President Anderson.
Aye.
That motion carries 7-0. The next item on the agenda is adjournment.
Do I have a motion to
I'll
adjourn?
make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Duncan. Second by Preschel. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.